today we'll be learning about measurement of time, which is the last part of the first chapter, and in this part we'll be studying about a simple pendulum. So we begin with the concept of a simple pendulum. Now what is a simple pendulum? By definition, you can see it is mentioned a simple pendulum is a heavy point mass, which is called a bob, suspended from a rigid support by a massless and inextensible string. Okay, so what is a simple pendulum? You can see the image of a simple pendulum over here and the diagrammatic representation of it on this side. So in this diagram you can see a simple pendulum is a heavy point mass. You can see this is the heavy point mass. Okay, this part is the heavy point mass. Okay, and this is called a bob. It is suspended from a rigid support. So this is a rigid support, which in this diagram labeled you can see over here. This is the rigid support by a massless and inextensible string. So you can see there's a string also, this string. Now this has to be a massless inextensible string. That means it should be a string which has no mass almost and is does not extend much with even small masses. Okay, like if you put a bob, it should not extend and its length should not increase much. All these are ideal cases because we cannot have a heavy point mass. Remember this, heavy point mass is not possible in reality, and a massless inextensible string is also not possible in reality. So we can say this is an ideal situation. So I think you have a basic idea what simple pendulum is. So any object, any heavy object or any small object, if you take, tie it with a string and hang it to a rigid support, that becomes a simple pendulum. Understood? This bob, when it is at rest position, it is taken to this side by applying a force, and when in this position, if we release the bob, it will move in this direction and then again go back here, and then it will repeat this motion, this to and fro motion. Okay, so this will do a periodic motion to and fro, following the same path and having a fixed time to move from one end to the other. Now remember, there are a few terms related to this simple pendulum. Like when you have a pendulum, when it is at rest, it is known as the mean position. This particular position is called the mean position, and when you take it over here, displace it a little by applying a force, this is the maximum. Suppose this bob has gone, so this is known as the extreme position. Okay, and when from this point if you release, it will again move back over here, so it will come back over here. This is also the extreme position. Okay, now if there is no friction on this side, this portion of the string and the support, whatever is the distance moved by the bob from on the right side, the distance moved on the left will also be the same. Every time it moves, it oscillates to and fro, the distance covered from the mean to the extreme is always going to be same. But ideally this is not what happens because we don't have a frictionless surface also. So what happens is, with time the amplitude keeps on decreasing. So first, if it goes on this side with this much length, it may go on this side with this much length, then slowly and gradually the this particular portion will keep on decreasing, and ultimately this particular bob will come to rest because of friction. Ideally it should not, but we don't have ideal situations available. We have frictions available, we have mass available, string with mass available, and it is because of that we have friction over here. So these are all ideal situations. You just need to understand the concept of a simple pendulum. Now next you need to understand there are other terms also, other things also. The first term which you need to understand here is the effective length of a pendulum. So when you had the pendulum like this, this is the support, then the length of the pendulum is considered from the support till here, which is the string, and this. That means this entire thing from the support till the center of gravity, this is the center of gravity or center of mass, actually center of mass of this bob, this is known as the effective length. Okay, so if small l is the length of the string and r is the radius of the bob, so capital L effective length will be length of the string plus radius of the bob. Now in the laboratory we have, suppose the bob or the mass like this, it is attached with a hook. Okay, so in such cases what will be the effective length? It will be the length of the string, which is still here, then length of the hook, which is still here, and then the radius of the bob, which is still here. Okay, so this total thing till the center of gravity or center of mass will be the effective length. Understood? So whenever you will be doing the experiment and whenever we'll be talking about length of a simple pendulum, we'll be talking about the length starting from the support till the center of mass. Understood? How do you measure the radius of this bob? We use the vernier caliper, and we have studied about using a vernier caliper in our earlier videos. You can go and watch those videos. Now the next term which comes is oscillation. Now oscillation, as I said, let me erase these first. As I said, when the bob is at the mean position, you apply some force, take it to the extreme position. Okay, now suppose the bob is over here at the extreme position and you release the bob. What will happen? This bob will move from this end till here and then again come back to the original position. This complete motion starting from this end, moving to this side and then coming back to the original position is called one oscillation. It is one to and fro motion, hence it is one oscillation. This means one oscillation is complete. So one complete to and fro motion of the pendulum is called one oscillation. Okay, now what the third term is period of oscillation. Now in order to complete this one to and fro motion starting from this side to this side and then coming back again to the original position, whatever is the time taken by this bob is called the time period of the oscillation. Okay, time period of this simple pendulum, and it is denoted by capital T, and since it is time, it is measured in seconds. Understood? Now coming to another term which is called frequency of oscillation. Now remember, by definition, frequency means the number of oscillations made in 1 second. Number of oscillations made in 1 second. It is denoted by the letter F or N, and since it is oscillations per second, that means its unit is per second, and it is also known as hertz. Now there is a relation between time period and frequency, with which you will understand the concept of frequency better. Now remember, as I said in the third point, period of oscillation, in one time period, which is in t seconds, we can say number of oscillations is 1, because you know the definition of a time period is what? The time taken by one oscillation. So in time period, number of oscillation is 1. Therefore in 1 second we are applying unitary method, number of oscillations will be equal to 1 by t. So this many number of oscillation, 1 by t number of oscillation, is being done in 1 second by this bob, and this is nothing but the frequency. So we can say frequency is 1 by t, number of oscillations in 1 second. Understood? So this is the relation between time period and frequency. And from this formula also you can see that since it is 1 upon time, so the unit will become second to the power minus 1, and this is also known as hertz. Moving on, we have the next term called amplitude. Now since you already know what mean and extreme positions are, so whatever is the displacement from the mean position to the extreme position, that means this displacement which is being done by the bob, the maximum displacement it will not go beyond the extreme position. Okay, so from the mean till the extreme, whatever is the distance covered, that is called the amplitude. This is the mean position, and this is the this is the extreme position. So we can say the maximum displacement of the bob from the mean position is called amplitude. Okay, so the amplitude, the length, or this length is called the amplitude. It will be same on this side and same on this side, provided there is no friction. Okay, because the bob, it moves the same distance on both the side. So I hope the different terms related to simple pendulum is clear. Now we move on to what are the factors which affect this time period of a simple pendulum. Okay, so we have done experiments and we have found noted down few things, as we have already mentioned in the first video of this chapter, measurement and experimentation, that science follows the concept of first studying how that thing is happening and then noting down mathematical reasoning out mathematically the factors on which that particular phenomena depends. So performing this experiment, we noted down few things, like time period was depending on few of the things, so we study those things. All these experiments you can do in the physics lab, they are there in your syllabus. The first thing is, time period of oscillation is directly proportional to square root of its effective length. That means time period, that means time taken for one oscillation, is proportional to square root of the effective length. So you can write L or capital L. What this means, we can also write is T square is proportional to L. Okay, squaring both sides, we get this. Now what this means is, more is the effective length, more will be the time taken to complete one oscillation. Understand this, because there are numericals and logical questions which come based on this part. Okay, so we can say if the length increases, time period is going to increase, and if the length decreases, time period is going to decrease. Now there are few reasoning questions which you may be asked from this. Like suppose you can be asked in winter, why does the time period decrease, or what happens to the time period in winter, what happens to the time period in summer. You can be asked questions like this. Now from class 8, you have studied in class 8, you have a brief understanding about expansion of length. Okay, so as the temperature increases, the length tends to increase a little, and as the temperature decreases, the length contracts. So it's called linear expansion. So in winter, what happens is, winter, the length contracts, that means the length decreases, L decreases, effective length decreases. So what will happen, T will decrease because they are directly proportional, so the time period will shorten. Okay, and in summer, what happens, in summer L increases, the effective length increases, so T increases, time period also increases. Okay, so if time period increases, what does it mean? It means it will take more time to complete one oscillation, to move from one end to the other and come back, it will take more time. And if time period decreases, it means that it will take less time to move from one end to the other and come back. Okay, so I hope this part is clear. Okay, now again there is a reason question related to this, like you know about swing, right, on which you sit. It is like this, and you are sitting over here with your legs like this, and it is swinging to and fro motion. Okay, it is like a pendulum. Now when you're sitting, your weight, your center of mass, and center of mass of this plank on which you're sitting is almost identical. Okay, so the effective length from here till here. Now what happens when you stand? So if you stand on a swing, suppose this is a swing, and instead of sitting, you're now standing. When you stand, your center of mass shifts upwards. Okay, it was earlier over here, earlier it was over here, now it is here. So what happens is the combination of u and this center of mass shifts over here. Earlier it was over here. Okay, so the effective length from here till here, the effective length becomes from the support till here. Earlier it was from here, from the support till this end. Okay, so when you were sitting, the effective length was more, L more while sitting, and while standing L is less because L decreases. So what will happen to the time period of this swing when you are swinging? So if L is less, T decreases, and if L is more, T increases. We know this. So understand, if L is less, that means when you are standing on the swing and then swinging to and fro, the time period decreases. Time period decreases means more number of oscillations will be done in 1 second. That means you will be able to move from one end to the other more quickly. Okay, more quickly. And if you are sitting and moving to and fro, time period increases. That means you will take more time to move from one end to the other. Understood? Okay, moving on to the other factors. Let me erase these things. Okay, now if we since we know that t square is proportional to L, or t is proportional to root of L, if we are asked to draw or plot a graph between them, so this is how the graph will look like. So if t is plotted on the y-axis and root of L on the x-axis, since it is directly proportional, it will be a straight line like this. Also, if you have asked to plot a graph of t square versus L, since again it is directly proportional, you will have to draw it like this. Understood? So remember, the graph it is asked, you directly draw these graphs. Moving on to the other factors. The second factor is time period of oscillation is inversely proportional to square root of acceleration due to gravity. That means time period is inversely proportional to square root of acceleration due to gravity. Now what this means is, more the acceleration due to gravity, more, or we can say g increases. When g increases, t decreases. This is what we mean by inversely proportional. And when g decreases, t increases. Okay, so this is what we mean by inversely proportional. So you are aware of the value of acceleration due to gravity. The average value is 9.8 meter per second square, but then this is the average value. It is not the same everywhere. Okay, so with place it changes. Like on Earth, it is the average value is 9.8 meter per second square. On Moon it is much less. Okay, it is much less. So we can say the same pendulum, if we have on Earth, suppose has a time period t, will have a more time period when it is taken to Moon. Why? Because on Moon the value of g decreases, so the time period is increasing. So if suppose 10 second is the time period on Earth with g having the value of g as 9.8, now since g decreases on Moon, the time period will be more than 10 seconds. Okay, it is inversely proportional. So this is what we mean by the time period being inversely proportional to acceleration due to gravity. Similarly on Earth also, if you take the pendulum from suppose the equator, suppose you have a pendulum at the equator and you have the pole over here. So if you take the pendulum from the equator to the pole, the same pendulum, you know, the value of g increases from equator to pole, it increases. Okay, so what will happen? The time period is going to decrease, so t decreases. Understood? Similarly, if you have suppose you are on the ground and you take it to a certain height, that means you take it to a suppose mountain or a hill or any place at height, you know, and that g decreases with height. Okay, g decreases with height, so what will happen? T will increase. time period will increase. Similarly, if you go below the ground, suppose towards the center of the earth, towards center of earth, G again decreases, so T will increase. Understood? Now remember, at the center of the earth, that means inside the earth towards the center of the earth, G is 0, so time period will become infinite. Okay, time period becomes infinite. So these are just different cases. You just remember these cases because reason questions may be asked from these things. Okay, now moving on the other points. The third point says the time period of oscillation does not depend on the mass or material of the body suspended. Now we use different materials for the bob and saw that the different materials of the bob was not having any effect on the time period. Also, increasing the mass of the bob, that means if we took suppose a 50-gram bob, we found that the time period of oscillation came out to be 2 seconds suppose. Then if we added more weight to it and made it suppose 200 gram, still we saw that the time period was coming 2 seconds. So from these experiments we were able to conclude that the time period is independent of the mass or material of the bob. So moving on to the fourth point. The fourth point says the time period of oscillation does not depend on the extent of swing on either side. So when, as I have already told you, that in order to start the oscillation from the mean position, you are supposed to take it to the extreme position, right? So when you are taking it to the extreme position, this amplitude, if you take it suppose to this end and release, it will go to this side suppose. Okay, and if you take it to this side and release, it will go to this side suppose, amplitude. In both the cases you will see what will happen is, if you take it to this side and release, suppose it takes 2 seconds to move from this side to this side and come back here for one oscillation. And if you increase the amplitude, that means if you take it to this side and release, it will cover more distance, move over here, the amplitude increases, but this one complete oscillation from one end to the other will still take 2 seconds. So it took 2 seconds and we were able to conclude that the time period was not depending on the extent of the swing, extent of the amplitude which we are taking it. Okay, now what is the reason this happens? Because when initially suppose the pendulum was here and you provided a small amplitude, released it, it moved from here to here to this side and then again came back here, the velocity of the bob was very less. Okay, velocity of the bob was very less. Why? Because from the mean position, you can see from the mean position, this was the mean position, till the extreme position, this is the difference in the height. Not much of a difference. Okay, not from this end, not much of a difference. So the acceleration due to gravity or the force acting on it is smaller. Okay, so the velocity of swing is less. Now what happens if you take it to a large extent? Take it from here, suppose you take it to this end and then release. What will happen? You have taken it to this end. Now if you release, it will move from this end to this end and then come back over here. Now still taking the same time. Why? Because when you do this, what happens is the distance from the mean position till the extreme position increases, the height increases. Now if the height increases, the force on it increases, the force acting on the bob which is pulling it towards the center increases. Now if this increases, the velocity increases, so it is covering more distance with more velocity, so the time taken is same. Understood? Had the velocity been same, the distance has been increased, this distance has been increased. Had the velocity been same, the time period would have increased, it would have taken more time. But since the velocity also increases with increase in amplitude, what happens is the time taken is same. So from these are the factors on which the time period of a simple pendulum depends. Now combining these first two factors, which you see, these first two factors, we get a formula for the time period. So what is the expression? Now, you know, time period is directly proportional to root L and time period is inversely proportional to root G. Now combining them, we will get time period is proportional to root of L by root of G, which we can write as T proportional to root of L by G. And in order to remove this proportionality sign, we introduced a constant, and experimentally the constant was found to be 2 pi. So it is 2 pi root over L by G. So experimentally the constant was found to be 2 pi. So it becomes, the formula becomes T is equal to 2 pi root over L by G, where L is the effective length and G is the acceleration due to gravity. Understood? Moving on to the last topic, which is the seconds pendulum. Now, any pendulum whose time period of oscillation is equal to 2 seconds is known as a seconds pendulum. Understood? Now, if we take time period of oscillation as 2 seconds, and if we take the average value of G as 9.8 meter per second square, then if we are asked to find, suppose, what should be the length of the pendulum for it to have this time period, what should be the effective length, because you know, increasing the effective length increases the time period and decreasing the effective length decreases time period. So there should be a fixed length for which we get the time period equal to 2 seconds. Now if we apply the same formula, T is equal to 2 pi root over L by G, and if we put 2 over here, 2 into 3.14 into root of L by 9.8, and if you solve for L over here, you will get a value nearly equal to 1 meter. You get a value nearly equal to 1 meter. So from this we can say any simple pendulum whose effective length is 1 meter becomes a seconds pendulum. Understood? Now if the length is not 1 meter, the time period is not going to be 2 seconds, so it will not be a seconds pendulum. So all second pendulum is a simple pendulum, we can say, having a length 1 meter, but all simple pendulums are not seconds pendulum. Understood? Okay, moving on to solving some examples based on these logics which we have understood. There are only 2 or 3 examples which we'll see, and after that I'll be giving you some questions to solve at your home as your homework. Solve them, practice them. The answers are given, the solutions are not given, but you will be able to solve them. If you have doubt in any of the questions, you just mention it in the comment section of this video, so we'll discuss this in the other videos. Also in the next video we'll be solving the numericals. There are 9 numericals on this particular portion of the chapter from concise physics. We'll be solving all those 9 numericals. Moving on to the examples, you can see the first example is what we talked about just now, that is, if the value of G is 9.8 meter per second square, we are asked to find the length of a seconds pendulum. So you can see T we have taken as 2 seconds and G as 9.8 meter per second square, and then using the same formula, so if T is 2 pi root over L by G, we can make L as the subject. In order to do that, you will have to square both sides first. It will become 4 pi square L by G, and from here you can see L is equal to G T square by 4 pi square. This is cross multiplication which we did, and we substitute the values, that is 9.8 on this side, T square means 2 square, and 4 into 3.14 whole square. Now if you solve, you'll get the value as 0.994 meter, which you can write as nearly equal to 1 meter. Okay, moving on to the next example. Second example says, compare the time periods of a simple pendulum at places where G is 9.8 and 4.36. So we have 2 situations, place 1 and place 2. Place 1, G has the value 9.8 meter per second square, and place 2 G has a value 4.36 meter per second square. So we are asked to compare the time period. That means suppose T1 is the time period here and T2 is the time period here. We are asked to find the ratio. So let us label this as G1 and G2. So you know the formula for time period is T1 is equal to 2 pi root over L by G. Now since G is different, we take G1 over here. Now since the time period of a simple pendulum, it is the same simple pendulum, the length is going to be same on both the cases. Okay, so we just leave it as L. Similarly, T2 will be equal to 2 pi root over L by G2. Okay, now if we divide T1 by T2, since we are asked to find the ratio, compare means finding the ratio, divide, what you will get is, get something like this, 2 pi root over L by G1, and if you divide it will just get reversed, so it will become 2 pi root over G2 by L. So you can see the value of 2 pi will get cancelled, also root L will get cancelled, and you will get T1 by T2 equal to root of G2 by G1. And if you place the values of G2, which is 4.36 by 9.8, you will get 1 by 1.5. So solve, you will get this value. Okay, 1 by 1.5. So we can say T1 is to T2 is equal to 1 is to 1.5. Okay, this can also be written as 2 is to 3. Okay, because 1.5 is 3 by 2. So instead of this, if you write 3 by 2, this 2 is going to go up, so it will become 2 is to 3 also. Understood? Okay, moving on to the next example. Example 3 says, compare the time periods of two simple pendulum of lengths 1 meter and 16 meter at a place. That means at the same place. So the value of G is going to remain same, but the lengths are different in this time at this particular case. So we have two simple pendulums. So simple pendulum 1 and simple pendulum 2. The place is same. Okay, so we have length 1 as 1 meter, length 2 as 16 meters. The value of G is same. Okay, so we are asked to find the time period. So now let us take the time period as T1. So it will be 2 pi root over L1 by G, and here it will be T2 is equal to 2 pi root over L2 by G. Similarly, we are asked to compare means find the ratio. T1 by T2 is equal to, again it will be 2 pi L1 by G into 1 by 2 pi G by L2. Now in this case you can see 2 pi again getting cancelled, G getting cancelled, and root G getting cancelled, so it will become root over L1 by L2. Now if we place the values, it will become T1 by T2 equal to root of L1 is 1 and L2 is 16, so it becomes, you know, this value will become 1 by 4. So again 1 is to 4 is the answer to this. Okay, now remember, you can remember these shortcuts like T1 by T2 is equal to root of L1 by L2. Remember this formula. And also T1 by T2 is equal to root of G2 by G1. So these are shortcuts you can remember. Instead of going with these, writing all the formulas and then dividing and coming to those these relations, you can directly use these relations. Okay, now the last example, this example number 4 says a simple pendulum is made by suspending a bob of mass 500 gram. So there is a simple pendulum whose mass is 500 gram and its length is 1 meter. Calculate its time period at a place where G is 10 meter per second square. So time period, you know, is 2 pi root over L by G. So the value of mass is given as 500 gram. We won't be using this value. Why? Because in the formula we know that the time period does not depend on the mass of the bob. Okay, so just use these values, 2 into 3.14 into root over L. The L is 1 meter and G taken as 10. Now if you solve this, you'll get 1.99 seconds. Okay, now the second part says, how will its time period be affected if bob is of mass 100 gram is used instead of 500 gram. So we have the same length, but if we use a bob of mass 100 gram instead of 500 gram, what will be the change in the time period? So we know, since t does not depend on mass of the bob, depend on mass of the bob, it will remain same. So the time period is going to remain 1.99 second. Also, if you were asked, suppose instead of the copper bob, if we take a brass bob, how will it be affected? So if we, even if we change the material of the bob, the time period of the pendulum is going to remain same. So these were the different types of examples of the questions which may come from this portion. Based on this, there are few questions homework which I am giving you. Take a screenshot. So these are the 5 MCQs. Take a screenshot of this, solve them, and if you have any doubt, post it in the comment section of this video. This is the MCQ, and also there are 15 numericals. Okay, these are the 15 numericals. You can take the screenshot of them. These are the 15 numericals. All logical questions, you may say. These are all 1 or 2 liners based on whatever examples we have just solved. So just practice these things down, and in the next video we'll be solving the 9 numericals which are there on this particular topic in the Concise Physics Selenium applications.